Alright guys, let's do from Unit 2 our target 3 and 4, excuse me, this one's 3, which is to finish factoring when your coefficient in the front of the lead term is bigger than 1. So sometimes you have to look for a GCF, and sometimes you just have to break down into 2 binomials. I'm going to start the top row. You know what, let's do all of them with just the signs, and then we'll go from there. So on the top, I can see from my first sign is negative and my last is positive that only a negative times a negative is going to work in both situations there. And in the second one, since the last term is negative, we know we're going to do one of each. Now, it doesn't really matter what order, but we will have to be careful about the numbers. And then this guy down here, also the last one's negative, so we know that that's going to be one of each as well. So what we want to do here is go back to the beginning. Let's go to the first one, and let's break those down. Now, the first factors are super simple because that's just 3 and x. You don't have any other options. But for 4, you do have a couple options. You have 4 and 1, and you have 2 and 2. And I kind of need to get I do exactly need to get a 7. So when I look at these numbers here, I like the looks of that 3 and that 4. So let's put the 4 here and a 1 here, and let's check our middle term. Negative 4x, excuse me, that's 3. And our middle term is negative 4x, and that does work. So our final factoring is right there. For the middle term, or the middle equation, again, we're going to be simple with 2x and x. But for 6 and 1, that's a possibility, or 2 and 3 is a possibility. I need to be getting a 1 in the middle there. The 6 looking a little too big, so I think I'm going to try the other numbers 3 and 2. And I want to think carefully through this, so I'll put the 2 here because that reminds me of a 4 right there. And then a 3 right there, and I know that that subtraction is going to give me a positive 1x, so I know that this one's right. Alright, now this last one here is going to look like a 3 and a 1 again. And now I need this 14. That's awful big, so with the 5, only one pair of numbers is going to work. But since I need a 14, I want my biggest multiplier to be that 5, because I want it close to 14. So 15 is there, 1x is there, but if you look really carefully, I've got a problem, because I'm supposed to be getting a negative 14, and right now my multiplication is going to be positive. That means I got these signs backwards, so I'm just going to switch out the signs, and now I'm good. So these guys down here get a little too complicated, and just to save some time, let's do one of them, and then we can practice more later. So I know my signs. There's no GCF. I'm going to work with the second one. I know my signs are going to be both negative. So I know it's going to look like this. But here's the problem. We got a lot of choices. We got 6 and 1 we could use. We got 3 and 2 we could use. We also have 10 and 3, 6 and 5, 2 and 15. We have a lot of options here. So we need to get 29 in the middle. So I'm going to do some work I haven't done before, but I'm going to try something called splitting the middle. That's where we break it up a little differently with grouping. I need a multiple of 180 if I multiply my first times my last. And so if I break apart those, then what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to, let me get rid of these a little bit. I'm going to break apart 180, and when I break them apart, I want to get 29 when I add them. So going over to the side here, I'm going to start writing numbers that I know. Now I need to get to 29, so I know the 2 and 90 are not going to work, and neither are the 9 and Ooh, look at that. 9 and 20 does work. So, well, that's fabulous. So look what I do here. I don't break apart the factors like normal until the very end. So what I do instead is I rewrite this problem so that instead of writing the 20 down, or the 29 down, I write it as a split. So I keep the first guy because that's as is. But now I write this as a split with these two numbers. So minus 9x and minus 20. Then I go ahead and write the last one down. That way, when I look at these, now I can factor a little bit smaller rather than bigger numbers. I'm going to use smaller numbers now. I'm going to do 2 at a time. So the first two, the GCF is a 3x, and that'll give me 2x minus 3. And then I'm going to do the back two. I'm always going to factor out that same sign that's right there. So that's going to come out, and I see there's a 10 here between these two numbers. So that's going to leave me with 2x minus 3. And if you look really carefully, both of those groups have something in common. So I'm going to put that guy out in front as a GCF, and then what's ever left over after I remove that is the rest. So this is called splitting the middle. It's a really common way that's done it. It's very easily done. You'll see it in photomath quite often because that's just easier to program that. So that's an interesting way to look at that. And there you have it. I think those are good enough examples. I will write in the answer key the answers to these two, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to show you one example a different way.